I want to show you this guitar here, which was purchased in Rochester, New York, at the House of Guitars in 1993. This is a Gibson Chet Atkins studio model. It's hollow. It's a hollow body version of the Chet Atkins guitar. And I want to show you some of the modifications that I've made in the guitar over the years. So, and we'll start with the pickup and the electronics in the guitar, which have been changed out a few times, and I want to show you that modification. The pickup of this guitar is a proprietary Gibson made, and it has 6 individual piezo transducers in there, and they lead to 6 individual signal wires that come out of the bottom of this pickup. And those signal wires went into an electronic box that was mounted on the back plate of the guitar, just taped onto the back plate of the guitar in a very crude aluminum box. And that's the original electronics, and each one of the pickups were wired into the box here, and this had individual potentiometers to control the output from each of those 6. So a very complicated circuit. And the problem with this circuitry is it just happened to be very prone to radio interference. And I live very close to the tallest hill in Rochester, which has radio towers on it. I can see them right outside my window. I'll show those to you. There's Pinnacle Hill, and you can see one of the radio towers sticking out of the top of the hill there. And we're probably less than half a mile from those towers. And because of that, electronic equipment in this household has always been problematic. And so we get a lot of RF noise. And in fact, that guitar played one of the local AM radio stations pretty loudly. So it was never really very functional in this house. If I took it far away from here, it worked perfectly. But in this house, it didn't work very well at all. This was the volume and tone control plate. Had 1 volume control and 2 tone controls. And this was mounted on the upper bout, the player's side bout of the guitar. And so this was wired to the electronics. So all of this was in the guitar. And there was a battery attached to the back plate of the guitar. Again, very, very difficult to change because the back plate was screwed on. So in order to change the battery, you had to remove the screws. So at one point, after struggling to try to quiet the guitar down with various methods of shielding and things like that, I gave up on it and decided that eventually I had to replace those electronics. And I thought I would just do it with a passive pickup. And so I ended up purchasing a LR Baggs saddle pickup, which looks like this. And it's a piezo element underneath a saddle. I think the saddle's made out of micarta or something. And in order to fit it to the guitar, I made this little walnut wooden bezel, a little bezel to surround the pickup so that it would fit into the cavity of the original Gibson pickup. So basically, replaced that pickup with this, and I removed the electronics from the guitar. Once I did that, I had to replace the covers of the guitar. So I made little walnut replacement covers for the back. This is where the pickup, this is underneath the pickup, and then this one is for the truss rod on the guitar. So I can adjust the truss rod by removing this one And I can install and remove the pickup by removing that one. Once this was installed, the leads went right to the output jack, so there was no battery, no electronics or anything. And this pickup worked beautifully. The guitar was, I could amplify the guitar. I could pass it through a preamp outside of the guitar, which eliminated the need for the battery in the guitar. And the guitar played just beautifully. It was quiet. There's no more problem with RF interference. So this is an excellent, excellent pickup, and it worked beautifully. But I kept thinking, well, can I modify the original Gibson pickup so that it would work like this, as well as this, without any of the active electronics? And so what I did was I took this pickup and the leads from this pickup, the 6 leads, I ganged them together. So I just bundled them together and then attached that to a single wire that went to the output jack. And then grounded the bottom of this pickup to the ground on the output jack. So a very simple circuit. And I really didn't know whether it would work. It turns out it works beautifully. And in fact, all 6 of these elements are perfectly balanced. And it puts out enough of a signal so that I can play with the preamp and amplify the sound and everything. So restored the original look of the guitar with that very, very custom and interesting wide pickup there. And I still have the Bags pickup as a backup. So if this one ever fails on me, I still have this one to put in there. But in order to complete the guitar, I had these walnut covers, 16th inch walnut covers on the back, which are pretty much flush with the back of the guitar. So I ended up making a sound port bezel for the place where the original controls went. So this control panel was originally mounted right here, and I crafted a walnut cover for this with some sound porting there. It turns out that this makes a great location for a sound port on the guitar, and when this is blocked, you can actually acoustically you can hear the difference between the sound of it blocked. Here it is unblocked, and then if I block it, you might be able to hear the difference in the sound. And so that really added to the player experience of playing this guitar acoustically. And now the entire guitar has the integrity of the original pickup, but now very simplified with no electronics in the guitar. I'll show you one other modification I made to this guitar, and that is the original tuners, the tuner pegs, the plastic tuner pegs. I found a set of Shaler classical guitar tuners with mother of pearl buttons on them and replaced those pegs with the mother of pearl. So this is a unique guitar in that it's got real pearl buttons on the tuners. And so those are the modifications that were made to this guitar. Everything else is pretty much the way it was coming from Gibson. And this is 30 years old, and it still is a beautiful instrument, plays like a dream. And I'll show you, I'll give you a little example of the sound with and without the pickup. So there's the sound of the guitar just acoustically. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into my little Boss Katana Air amp that has a little transmitter, and I'll plug that in the end here and wait for the amp to activate, and then so you can hear the guitar really sounds beautiful. The evenness of the strings, I'll just play one chord here, and perfectly even across the entire range of the 6 strings. And so this guitar now is completely functional. It's got the integrity of the walnut on all the openings, and on the what used to be the control cavity now is the sound port on the guitar. And the neck is perfectly straight. The action is just perfect. I do have a truss rod, which I've never adjusted in here. So that's still available in case down the road the neck needs to be adjusted. But I doubt it very much because this is all solid in here. So there's absolutely no way that this can move. And so it's an extremely stable guitar. Nylon strings, of course, so it's lower tension. And it's a Gibson. Very rare guitar, by the way. They only made a small number of these things, and it's hard to find them. Every once in a while, one will pop up on Reverb, but very, very seldom do you see that. And people are asking a lot of money for these things. So anyway, that's the story about the Gibson Chet Atkins Studio 1993.